Hey, welcome back. Let's talk about prototypes. This is one of my favorite topics. This is a subject that's near and dear to my heart because I love prototypes that fail. They show us where the sides of the roads are so that we can fail early and often to get us more quickly to the right answer. The simple definition and function of a prototype is to test. It's either a test of function or a test of appearance or a test of how both interface with each other. The word prototype comes from the medieval protos, of first, and typos, meaning impression. This is a great way to think about the prototyping process. It's a first impression of your design, typically in tangible space. When designing a product, this is an absolutely critical part of the process. There might be a huge idea or perhaps an ergonomic swoop in your design. You could assume they work well, but you won't know until you test. In the amazing book Models and Prototypes, Yoshihiro Shimizu goes into detail about building prototypes of various techniques such as foam, plaster, plastic, in various degrees of study and application. At CCD, I break these into 4 distinct levels of detail depending on the intent. Level 1 is the input model. Think of this as a 3D sketch. These can be made from paper, foam, or cardboard, or whatever you need to quickly test an idea like a hinge or spacing, or see how even a shadow casts across a surface. These include simple materials such as paper and foam and are quick execution, low-cost solutions with simple functional and aesthetic checks. Level 2 are functional models. This is a much more refined model that works to show mechanical function. And if applicable, ergonomics can and should be considered at this point. These can be unpainted raw models that show movements of parts and how they relate to one another. Also, they can use electronics within a shell to show how buttons will activate on a screen or how a latch might articulate and so on. Functional models are typically foam sculpts, 3D prints, or CNC machine parts, and these are usually sort of a medium execution fidelity at a medium cost. These are meant to check accuracy within the realm of function. The level 3 prototype is a cosmetic model. A cosmetic model is a looks-like model that shows how surface finishes will appear. These are more often high-fidelity CNC models that are painted to look like a finished piece and might not necessarily have actual functional components inside. These can be used for photography, marketing, internal communication with the client to further sell the idea, and they're often a fairly expensive undertaking due to the machine time and labor involved with the process of creating them. Cosmetic models are 3D printed or have CNC'd machine parts with a longer execution timeline and usually a medium to high cost. These are meant for accurate aesthetic checks. When you combine level 2 and level 3 prototypes, you get level 4 prototypes. This is the production sample. The production sample is a final proof of concept that will both look like and function like the actual production version of the product. These are by far the most expensive and accurate representations of your model and will most closely represent the final output. These are usually 3D printed and include CNC machine parts with a long execution timeline and high cost. They're great for precise aesthetic and functional checks and receive a final sign-off before production of your project. Normally you can toggle between these 4 levels throughout the design process. Sometimes you might need to quickly check an alternate design solution in one area or another. If it can be helped, level 4 prototypes should usually be reserved for the end of the road of the design process. These are usually the most expensive because you aren't necessarily investing in the tooling, but you want to get a final gut check against the form, fit, and function of the design before moving into production, which will mimic the production sample. Consider this level to be one last check to make sure everything on your design is good to go. By creating a prototype, you can gain all sorts of insights about your project, so I urge you to explore prototyping wherever and whenever you have the time to do it, as it's going to give you a better idea about your project and how you might go about the final execution. There's an absolutely phenomenal channel on YouTube called Product Tank that shows all sorts of prototypes in action. Check out the channel to see his cutting board design and then see how he uses the same concept to prototype up another surprising concept from that. Send me some of your thoughts. Have you ever made a prototype of something? This could be a website, a product, an app, a sketch of what an idea for a painting might look like. What did it help illustrate about your idea? Did it show you what would work? Did you learn what wouldn't? Did you have a favorite insight or part of the process that gave you an understanding of the concept that you were developing? Let me know. Send me a note on Twitter and Instagram and I'll post some of the best insights and projects. Thanks so much. Have a great day.